Doctors from Edinburgh screened all 668 female students at a secondary school in rural Ghana for height and weight to determine if they met the criteria for diagnosing anorexia nervosa. The girls came from various social backgrounds. They were not poor and had easy access to food. However, a small number were found to have low weight caused by self-imposed diets. The 6 girls cited various reasons for dieting. These included religious fasting, particularly around time of stress and for feelings of self-control. The study follows claims that anorexia nervosa only occurs in the developed world and is a result of media and movie images of thin women. But Dr. Alan Carson, a consultant psychiatrist at the University of Edinburgh, said the findings of the study showed that this may not be the case. Appearance and figure has become very important in the minds of young people. Thin is in and fat is out. This is interesting because Asians are usually thinner and smaller framed than Caucasians, but their aim now is to become even thinner. A study was done in Taiwan using 843 schoolgirls aged 10 to 14. The researchers administered a questionnaire that collected data regarding body weight perception, body weight satisfaction, desired body weight, and attempts at intentional weight loss. The girls' body mass indexes were calculated and they were classified as obese, overweight, acceptable weight, underweight, or severely underweight. Approximately 65% of the students in the study, including girls in both underweight categories, wanted to be thinner. The researchers came to the conclusion that dissatisfaction with body weight occurs in women in all weight categories. 38% of the subjects had intentionally tried to lose weight, once again including 12.5% of underweight individuals and 35.2% of acceptable weight individuals. The authors of the study felt that a longitudinal follow-up study was necessary to determine if eating disorders became a problem for these schoolgirls later in their teens. There is no Brazilian data about the incidence or prevalence of EDs in any age range. Nevertheless, clinical experience shows that eating disorders in children and adolescents result in a substantial number of referrals in the city of Sao Paulo. This city has the only Brazilian service specialised in the treatment of children and adolescents with EDs, where the present study was carried out. In this service, there are lots of youngsters on a waiting list for treatment, with a mean waiting time for each child of approximately 2 years. 55% of the children with AN on the waiting list are from other cities or even from other states. In Brazil, the lack of specialised public units for the treatment of children and adolescents with EDs mirrors the lack of epidemiological studies in the field. In addition, carrying out epidemiological studies is a complex task since it demands specific validated diagnostic measures. Therefore, to increase knowledge about the impact of these disorders and to guide rational service planning in Brazil, it is necessary to validate a specific diagnostic measure for these disorders in any age range. Hunger strikes are not an unusual political weapon in Turkey. Labour unions use them, for example, as do other groups. Prisoners engage in them as well. In October, about 800 radical left-wing inmates in 14 Turkish prisons began starving themselves to protest the government's plans to move them into the new F-type prisons. Relatives of the prisoners and human rights activists also joined in. Weeks went by and the hunger strikes began to have their intended political effect. The government in Ankara got nervous. As noted earlier, these imprisoned leftists were hardcore, and if they said they would starve themselves to death, they jolly well would. The most innovative hunger strikes so far, however, have been Turkish Marxists protesting their country's shift from dormitory-style prisons to Western-style cells. Their fasts, which claimed an inmate's life this last February, are designed to keep the striker alive as long as possible. Some of the strikers have lasted longer than 300 days. Their secret is to ingest salt, unrefined sugar and vitamins, which limit weight loss to just a few ounces per day. Once the anorexic reaches her goal of reducing her body weight, the feeling of accomplishment, triumph, and the admiration of the socially idealized image act as motivators for the continuation of anorexia. The victory is reinforced by the jealousy of more obese friends who manifest their admiration at having a more stylized figure than themselves. Anorexics tend to be selfish, aggressive, fake, dishonest, reserved, violent, and deceitful. The situation gets to such a degree that they not only lose weight, but also their family, friends, job, and possibly life.